This is James.
And I'm Albus Dumbledore. Gryffindor!
So you got off your serial murder kick?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I am Tom Riddle.
You know, it got bad, and then Tom Riddle. Well, welcome to another exciting episode of Movie Versus. Today we're going to be taking a look at The Evil Dead.
Old.
New. And of course, as you know, we like to take a look at story, character elements, special effects that were used, and cinematography. So, due to the nature of these movies, we can't actually show any clips on YouTube, or we'd get a nice big slap on the face. So, I've already got...
YouTube's full of ginas.
I've already got a giant slap on the face for copyright, and boy, I would really hate to hit another strike on something else. So, we're going to be as descriptive as humanly possible when describing these scenes. I seriously will not be holding back. Chris, let's start with you with story.
So, the story is about 4 people. The main character being Ash, or Ashley. For the record, hail to the king, baby. Played by Bruce Campbell, the immortal god, Bruce Campbell. And essentially they go to this cabin for some sort of vacation or some crap. And this cabin apparently was the ground zero for the translating and reading of the Necronomicon. For those of you who don't know what the Necronomicon is, Google it. And essentially, they found this old recording device, reel-to-reel recording device, and ended up playing it. It was this doctor who discovered this, and I think he had to kill his wife or something because she became a deadite, essentially, after reading the words in the Necronomicon. Well, because of the fact that they played the recording of him reading out loud the words, and then I believe they were the ones that also read the words, they basically reawoken and restarted the whole mess. And that's in a nutshell. And then Ash kind of has to kill his girlfriend and his sister and his other two his other friends. He has to kill everybody in the cabin, and he gets psychologically scarred from it, and it's pretty horrible and terrible and gross simultaneously. There's a lot of milk used in the making of this movie. And essentially the you alright, man? You gonna make it? I don't think he's gonna make it. So, was it the milk comment? Okay. I'm just saying there's a lot of milk in this movie.
Jesus.
I think that Sam Raimi did a good job with storytelling. I think the story really isn't the star attraction of the movie. It's really Bruce Campbell's facial expressions, the cinematography, and the special effects. The story is kind of just there so that there's something there to do. There's something to keep the movie going instead of just a random mess of special effects and cinematography. Something to string it all together. But it does have a story, and the story is pretty cool, as basic as it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
and wanted to start remembering character names, so I started writing stuff down. So, Evil Dead 2013. It's funny because I could have gone Evil Dead 2 and it still would have been a remake. I feel like this wasn't even a reimagining. This was just
A reboot?
not even. I don't even think it was that. I think they actually referenced this movie in Ash vs. the Evil Dead, but I need to watch more of it because I think they reference it twice.
Such a great show.
Yeah. So we start off with this girl kind of haphazardly running through the woods, kind of drained, not doing good, and she gets captured and knocked on the head by these what you think are monster hillbillies. And she's brought down to what you assume is a really old shack. You later on find out it's a basement. It's covered in dead cats all over the place. And her dad's about to kill her. You hear her, "Oh no, Daddy, please don't. I want everything to be okay." And then talks about how he violently, or how the Deadite violently killed the man's wife. And that's how we open up, with a burning. Burn the witch! Deadites are a little messed up. So you get 4 friends.
And we're the 3 best friends that anybody could have. We're the 3 best friends that anyone could have.
Mia and David are related, brother and sister. And then you have Eric and Olivia, who are... We'll get into Eric in a little bit. And then you have Natalie, who is David's girlfriend.
I'm not a Deadite, so I'm not getting into that guy.
No, but everyone else did.
That's true.
So...
Demonic Village Bicycle.
Oh, and there's the best character ever, who is Grandpa. Grandpa is the family dog. So, they're there because Mia has a really bad addiction to heroin, and they're trying to help her kick it by staying in the cabin for many days so that she can quit cold turkey. I know we recently had a personal thing that happened.
I'm gonna keep my zingers to myself.
Yeah, we're just just know that we kind of did this with a friend and try to help her out. And anyway, moving on. It's implied heavily that David hasn't been around for his friends and his family because his mother died crazy, and Mia carried that burden. And it's implied that's why she started the drug use. Heavily implied. They don't give you a clear answer as to when she started it, but it's kind of implied that pushed her over the edge. And her friends have done this with her before, trying to get her to kick the habit, and she didn't. So, in a nutshell, because their characters are so amazing, Olivia is a nurse, and she's prideful as hell. Eric is a hipster, and the movie is very self-aware of how much the audience hates him. I seriously, the movie is incredibly self-aware of this. And there's Natalie, who... She's the girl that saws her arm off with a turkey carver. There's the characters. So, the story pretty much is, they find this book wrapped in plastic and bound with barbed wire and a bunch of dead cats. And they figure that some hoodoo went down in the basement. Well, it was worse. Eric picks up the book and starts reading it, after he was told to throw it away.
God, none of these people ever played Call of Cthulhu. You never read books.
So, Eric has this really standoffish attitude, and I really, really hate him. The movie becomes very self-aware of this. For every Deadite, he's the last Deadite in the entire movie. Every Deadite has his way with him. May it be by nail gun, may it be by shoving a nail right underneath his eye. No, I think that was a syringe. May it be shooting him Like, he literally gets so messed up, and his character is kind of redeemed toward the end, but he gets messed up even more, and you're just kind of like, thank you, movie gods, for messing him up so bad. The whole idea of the Deadite coming forth is to claim 5 souls to raise some sort of evil god, which they succeed. And the evil god there's a battle between Mia and the evil god, and it is really freaking awesome. I want to talk about special effects, because I can talk about how much I hate Eric all day.
So, when I said they use a lot of milk in this movie, I wasn't kidding.
I'm envisioning the scenes. I know exactly which scenes he's talking about. I'm like, damn it, God.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoyed the cheesy B-rated horror, body horror stuff. It's pretty funny and it's awesome. And so, like, it's pretty gross. Like, you get grossed out by this movie. Legitimately grossed out. It's not really a horror movie so much as it is, I gotta take a shower after every scene because that's nasty as fuck. And the special effects are really kind of strange because they go from, like, body horror, makeup, fake blood, milk, and, like, a weird third eye boil, like, here, and then a fourth eye boil looking thing right here. Like, it's really strange. Their eyes are always white. That's how you know it's a Deadite. But then, like towards the end of the movie, when he's burning the Necronomicon, they shrivel up, right? And then it, like, goes to, like, stop animation claymation stuff. It's really strange. It's really weird. And then all of a sudden, like, arms come shooting out of the Deadites' bodies and, like, you know, doing weird crap. Deadite foo or something? I don't know what the hell it was doing. Out of each of these things. And then, like, they just kind of crumple to the floor and they kind of look like shit. But there was, in fact, a lot of fake blood, a lot of gore. The makeup jobs are between subpar and cool. You know, it really did cross the whole spectrum for the original one of between just kind of that's cheesy and fake to that's really disgusting. Ew. Other special effects, like kind of speeding up the film a little bit when doing close-ups of, like, Bruce Campbell's face when he's doing facial expressions, and they just look suddenly, like, really sharp and quick. That's kind of something...
That's more cinematography, though, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. Like, I think it's a combination, because, I mean, you can tell some points where it's like there was a makeup job done here and there to kind of enhance the features of what he's doing. But ultimately, a lot of the special effects, again, were there was, like, pretty much no CGI in this movie. Like, none. Zero. Kind of making it one of my favorites because I hate CGI when it's not necessary. It's one of the reasons that I'm going to shamelessly plug do my own shameless plug of Ash vs. the Evil Dead. They really kept with body prosthetics and body gore and all that stuff, and they just sprinkled in CGI just for a little creepy effect, and it works beautifully. So Sam Raimi is still relying on old school horror makeup and effects to get his point across, and then he's just adding a little CGI to bring it out and make it more vibrant and make it a little more scary. he didn't need to do that in this one because it was literally just how much can we make the audience vomit. And there's all spectrums of really gross colors in this gore. Just is
The people melting.
oh my god.
That was actually like back in that one.
Oh,
the
man.
1980, I think 1981. The people melting in the shots in the Evil Dead, the original, used to like just do things to my stomach.
It's just
It was
really gross,
awful.
especially when it transitions from like, okay, that looks kind of real to it's like claymation. It's like you're getting punched in the neck. It's like, oh, what just happened? Where did that come from? I got sucker punched.
You're not exaggerating. That was, oh my goodness.
Honestly,
horrible.
as corny and horrible as it looks, it's actually kind of
Effective?
It's kind of genius, really. At least in my opinion, it's really kind of genius the way they use the special effects for that. How are the special effects in your movie?
So I'm gonna say it just like this. They barely used any CGI, and if they
That's good.
did, I couldn't tell, because I would assume maybe when people were on fire, that's when they used special effects, or using a body double for Mia, because spoiler alert, the evil god takes Mia's form, and dude, it was all practical effects. The whole idea of this movie, the way they sponsored it, was this is going to be the goriest, creepiest, nastiest crap you've ever seen in your life.
It's magic!
Yay, magic! So as I was saying, with the special effects, I didn't notice any really. So they used a lot of practical effects, which was really awesome, and they stuck to that theme. As far as like CGI special effects, I'm sure they were used, they had to have been used, but they're very seamless. You don't really notice them, which is really awesome. There were lots of chunks used in this movie. SpaghettiOs. Yeah, for the same reasons.
Was there any milk?
You know, if there was, it was mixed with like spaghetti sauce. Because the way they pass the Deadite around is,
Gross.
yeah, like straight up gross. Straight up gross. I was very pleased, actually, with the movie itself. Let's talk about cinematography.
Oh god, there's so much. This movie was almost all cinematography. So yeah, this movie was like majorly cinematography. There's a lot of like they hold the camera low to the ground and they're running. The cameraman's running after whoever it is that they're chasing to kind of simulate that it's coming to get them. There is a lot of that. There's also a lot of close-ups. There's a lot of... I kind of felt there was a lot of tricks with editing that they used to kind of, you know, make it a little more... what's the word I'm looking for? Make it a little more intense for the viewer.
Camping is intense.
Camping is intense. But the there was a lot of cinematography, and most of it was. I did find myself throughout the whole movie yelling at the TV, "Stand still!" Because the fucking shaky camera thing, man. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting like epilepsy just watching this. Just, you know, constant shaking. But that's because they had one dude with a camera running around with a camera for their shots, which, you know, has its ups and downs. Obviously, its downs being Hold the damn thing still!
And gimbals were expensive back then.
Yeah.
And we'll give you a history on the gimbal later, actually, because there's an interesting history with gimbal. He is a man, and he did create a rig.
He's not a dragon man?
Well, first he was a man, and then he was a dragon man, but then he was just a dragon. But he was still Gimbal! Gimbal!
Burninating the countryside, burninating the peasants, burninating all the people in the thatched roof cottages!
But yeah, there's a.
We just did that. Oh
Yeah.
god.
I am proud of myself for starting that one. But there's a lot of it's mostly cinematography and like body horror for this movie. But I kind of feel like they did the best that they could with what they had, and they did a good job doing it. I mean, I didn't see the cameraman's feet at any point in time during the movie, so that's good. I mention that because in Army of Darkness, there's a scene, I think it's in the beginning of the movie, where the camera's like, they're doing the, I'm coming to get you thing with the camera. And you can actually get a glimpse of one of the cameraman's feet in the shot.
That's amazing.
I don't think they caught it in editing. Like, I don't think they saw it. And so, or they did, and they just thought, it's a B movie. If the audience catches it, awesome. It'll make for great cinematography history or something. I don't know. But I didn't see any cameraman's feet in the shots anywhere, so at least they did it right. And it was good, clean camera fun.
Cinematography for the 2013 film was... I feel like they didn't rely as heavily on the cinematography because everything was really close-in shots. They wanted you to feel super uncomfortable and claustrophobic. And it was really based on the hysteria from the characters. And their acting, honestly, was really top-notch. Because the little comedic moments were when Mia was a deadite and you're right up on her face and she's saying things like, "Don't do it, bitch. Don't you fucking do it." And it's just like, holy crap. The spirit of the original was there, and the cinematography, again, it made you feel like we were talking like this, like, "Hey, Chris, I'm a giant head." Ah! It's like, it was meant to make you feel claustrophobic in a wide open space. You're in the middle of a forest, and you're in this giant cabin, but you feel like your walls are closed in this tight. And I find that technique works really well with horror movies, especially. And with this one, that's what they stuck with, just the tight camera focus. And the scenes were just more brutal because of it.
I kind of want to add a little something on top of the cinematography, because it kind of applies to the cinematography a little bit. The set of the cabin is tiny. Like, they do a shot of the outside of the cabin, and it's tiny. But then when you get inside, it's like extra dimensional space. There's a bunch of rooms, and they're not terribly large, but it's like you can't get out of this house. It's like they just keep running into different rooms. And I think that's partially good set design, and also at the same time it's also really good cinematography where the shot just feels like it just keeps going and you can't get out. It's like a fun house, except there's no fun involved. So I don't know if that was apparent in there, or if that was kind of a thing in the new one, but in the old one it just seemed like there was so many rooms in this tiny ass cabin, and I mean, there's no way to get out. And even if you did get out, somehow you got back in. You don't know why. You just ran back in because you thought, oh, the inside of the house will be safe. Oh, that's right. There's like 3 other people in here that are trying to kill me. Crap.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that at all. It was very much, the action was set really like, in the original, the cabin itself was its own character.
Yeah,
And-
actually, that's a good point. Really, it was its own character,
In
its
the-
own history and stuff.
In the new one, I don't feel like the cabin was its own character. I feel like the basement, because the focus on the basement was its own character, and it was a really messed up, manic depressive character that went from messed up to more messed up to, hey, I'm not so messed up, wrong! And I'm just like, wow. And it's insane. So my verdict,
We didn't go over characters, did we?
we didn't. Do you want to go over characters? Let's go over characters.
I think it's important to at least go over the main characters.
Okay. I do want to go over all of my characters because we both have very small casts.
You go first then.
All right.
'Cause
So
I only have like 2-3 characters, and 2 of them are inanimate.
I know where you're going with that. David is your everyman that's been down and out on his luck. I think that worked for him because you were rooting for David, and Mia was the junkie that you didn't want to root for until the very end because she's a whiny little girl, and we all know a whiny little girl, whether they're a junkie or not. Not going into anything right now. Personal things are personal. You didn't really get to see a whole bunch of Natalie because Natalie is, I don't know, she was the girl that carved her arm off. I said that already. Olivia, very prideful. There were times where you just wanted to slap her. Like, I'm giving her the same treatment that she would get in the hospital. Oh, quit your crap. And then Eric. I want to talk about Eric because Eric is my favorite character. And I know earlier I said I hate Eric. That's why he's my favorite character. He was the manifestation of the audience frustration of this know-it-all piece of crap that endangered all of his friends and turned into this voodoo doll of hate. And they really messed this guy up, destroying his hands, nailing himself to himself. Like, you could feel the frustration. You could tell the movie was self-aware of the character, and I feel like having him as that voodoo doll dummy was absolutely brilliant. But the characters were kind of one-dimensional, with the exception of Mia, David, and Eric at the very end. The best character, though, is Grandpa. Grandpa was murdered with a hammer. Let's have a moment of silence for Grandpa.
Alright, so I had 3 characters. As I said before, 2 of them are inanimate. Because the 3 that entered into this whole thing with Ash, they're, in my opinion, they're horror fodder. They don't really matter. Like, one of them is his sister, one of them is his girlfriend, and then one of them is the guy dating his sister. But there's really not a whole lot going on with any of them because, like, the movie's not about them, like, at all. So they don't do anything to flush out those characters to make them anything more than just, here's meat. We present to you catering. So there's a basement within this movie. and it also is fucked up. In fact, it's where they find the reel-to-reel recorder, and it's where they put their the first victim of the Necronomicon, of turning into a Deadite. They lock her into the basement, and I mean, it's very terribly done considering the fact that...
May I? We'll swallow your souls! We'll swallow your souls! Okay, continue.
Join us! Join us!
Dead by dawn! Dead by dawn! Okay, I'm sorry.
But essentially, it's just like the door to the basement is literally in the floor, and it's this crappy wooden door with these terribly put in like metal eyelets for the chain to go through. It is so bad. I don't even know how they didn't break out of it, but you know, apparently they didn't. So there's the basement, which kind of played its own role because there's several times where it goes back into the basement, and it kind of has that creepy feel again with the cinematography being, you know, very all over the place, so you never are on solid ground in the scene. It always has you off balance, so when something happens, it's kind of like unnerving and jarring. And then the next character is the cabin. Like, the cabin is its own character because there's little things in every scene with the cabin that if you're not paying attention, that you'll miss, that kind of give the cabin a little more character to it. But being that everything centers around this cabin, it's a part of... It's the center of everything. And the second one, it's the newest character to the cast is the Shed. But essentially that's kind of because it feels like there's so many rooms, it kind of makes it feel like this cabin has a lot of different facets, and you kind of want to ask yourself, what is the story with each of these rooms? Like, what happened in each of these rooms before these 4 people got here and re-fucked everything up? And then there's the almighty Bruce. Bruce Campbell's character Ash is also not really that fleshed out. Oh, there's a fourth character. Bruce Campbell's character's not really fleshed out yet, but at the same time, you're kind of always rooting for him. I mean, especially nowadays, a lot of people know about Bruce Campbell before they actually saw the movie, and then they saw the movie. So they were always like, yeah, Bruce Campbell! We want him to survive. Because it's Bruce Campbell. But his character is one of those characters that you're just like, well, I can't really prove that I wouldn't respond the same way he would in that situation, or did in that situation. But it always feels like he's only just rattled enough. He's never just lost his shit, curled up into a ball, and catatonic. You know, he's not, you know, in need of getting smacked to stop his screaming. So he always seems like he's on the cusp of hysteria, but he's just keeping it together. I mentioned there's actually a fourth character, and it's the Necronomicon. Because without that, none of this matters, right? But the Necronomicon is actually key to both starting and stopping all of it. And it's partially burned in the first one, in the original movie, which is what ends up stopping the Deadites ultimately. Or does it? Obviously it didn't. There was a second one. But at the same time, it kind of was its own character, and also as a set piece, it looked pretty cool. It looked pretty ominous for its time.
Still does. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Human bound leather death book.
Yeah. Written with words written in blood. That sort of. Yeah. I mean. But I mean, even as a kind of a corny B-rated set piece, it still kind of gives off that vibe of, well, I don't want to mess with that and get it away from me. Like, it still has that creep factor, But those are kind of the character as I see characters. They're a little more fleshed out. You know more about those than you do about the horror fodder, or even Ash for that matter. Like, I feel like they're more of a character than Ash is. He's just the protagonist that's trying to like stop all this, and at the same time he's also the victim because he loses his sister and his girlfriend and his friend, and he ends up traumatized, and then eventually like
And his Plymouth.
and it's, that poor Plymouth, and eventually has to, fast forward to Ash versus the Evil Dead. He's still dealing with it.
Which we need to watch that series now.
I've seen all of season 1 and like the first 2 episodes of season 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch up because
This show is awesome. So good.
Is there gonna be a 3rd season? Do you know?
Yeah. There's gonna be a 3rd season.
Good.
I would bet there's gonna be at least 4 to 5 seasons before, and that's assuming they don't just go. So Bruce, you want to keep going? Well, duh. Like 30 seconds into the first episode of season 1, they're like, and season 2 has been confirmed. Like, that is how popular this show was and how good it is. I think Sam Raimi kind of hits it out of the park.
So as far as the 2 movies are actually, as far as the 4 movies are concerned, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, The Evil Dead, go see them all, because they are this story of twisted, mind-boggling horror, body horror, gore, and satire that you can't believe. And they are just, especially of their time, and 2013 was very recent, but of the time, they are good movies, and they are good horror movies. I would say that Evil Dead 2, not so much Evil Dead, but Evil Dead 2 definitely, Army of Darkness, are horror comedies. If you don't think those two genres fit together, you've never seen a good horror comedy. So, go see them. Go see all 4. Come back. Tell us what you thought of the movie. And of course, guys, we will see you in the next exciting episode of whatever Brain Candy has going on.